Alright, so that was our review of a Wave 11. On to the future with Wave 12, or actually this is a blast from even further back in the past. No, wait, no, technically not, because fighters were Dominion War 5 and 6, and then the Tholian ship was the one right after that.
Yep.
Alright, so, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, we have Tholia 1. Sadly, this was the best picture I could find on the internet of Tholia 1 from way back in the day. And now, we don't see in the article that WizKids released if Tholia 1 is actually different than the prize ship, but most of the other cards in it are identical, so I'm going to kind of assume that these are identical as well.
It's also worth mentioning, David went back and checked. Apparently, we never reviewed Tholia 1 when it came out. So...
we get it now!
Yeah.
Congrats, and welcome to your first purchase of a Tholian vessel, which looks darn cool, but falls apart very easily.
I didn't know that. I haven't played with mine, but it, just FYI, like, this is the one where we actually said, I remember very well, this is the one where we all said, whoa, hang on a sec, maybe WizKids can make good-looking models.
Yeah, because that model is amazing.
And I believe this was actually the first one that wasn't a reprint from one of their other games, so that would be a pretty reasonable explanation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they had the Scorn, yeah.
Immediately, everybody was like, why don't all the models look like this? And the answer is, well, I promise to be nicer.
But yes, Tholia 1, independent. For 16 points, you get a 2-2-2-2 with 2 weapon slots. Its action, or actually its ability, is you may perform the action listed on the Energy Web upgrade card as a free action, and it has an evade, a target lock, and scanning ability. No battle stations ability, sadly.
Yeah.
Generic follows the normal formula, 2-2-2-1. It has 1 fewer slot, and it's only 14 points.
It has a 90-degree forward arc, pretty alright maneuver dial.
It has the interceptor fighter maneuver dial.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does. Wait, pretty sure it doesn't have a 4 forward, but I could be wrong.
I think it is a 4 forward.
I remember it has the white come about.
Look, it doesn't matter, because if you fly this, it's going to die on the first turn and gets into combat. Like, always.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate part.
It does not have a 4 forward.
Yeah, it's got the 1 and 2 come abouts that are white.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is really cool, and I had really cool ideas for playing this back when it first came out. If you want to check those out, they are actually still on my channel. I believe I have 2 games there set up with Tholians.
The problems with this ship are, number one, the Energy Web weapon has major problems, which I assume we'll talk about when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, this ship is so incredibly fragile. I mean, if you want to know what flying this ship is like, just go to your X-Wing playing friend, borrow a TIE fighter, and try to run it. See how that goes.
I don't know, TIE fighters survive pretty often. I think this thing's more of a headhunter.
TIE fighters survive against other X-Wing ships. They're not going to... I'm not saying play X-Wing and run TIE fighters. I'm saying take a TIE fighter and put it in X-Wing and stall.
Oh, yeah, that would be a terrible idea.
Yeah, although I think you're right. The Headhunter stat line, I think, actually is the same as the Tholian stat line. Right.
It is.
Yeah.
And it costs less. But no, this thing, it doesn't have any of the good actions it needs to add survivability to itself. And it doesn't have the battle stations to give it that offensive one-shot punch. Even if you did want to make it into some kind of torpedo boat.
And it does come with torpedoes.
It does. And this one's actually going to come with 2 sets of torpedoes. One that we don't actually know what it does, but I'm pretty sure we can extrapolate. But yes, the thing that you find out about running these Tholians is that any other ship in the game can one-shot you, pretty much.
Not the boat.
Maybe not the Voe.
Any other combat vessel in the game. can one-shot you.
One of the videos I don't know if I actually have that video on the channel. I'll have to check it out. But we had a tournament where we did 100-point builds in the Mutara Nebula, and no ship could be over 25 points. I brought my Tholian fleet. They got one shot in the Nebula by Miranda classes.
Ouch.
Wow. That takes work.
I suppose it doesn't help that the cloud negates their shields, but they did have 2 extra defense dice to get through. But yes, Tholians. How much I wanted to love them when they first came out. I drove 4 hours downstate to get a 4th one, so I could run 4 of them at the same time.
Well, I'm sorry.
Hey, if it worked, it would have been an actual, legitimate, different strategy in Attack Wing that could work.
Yeah, too bad it was a colossal waste of time.
Makes me very sad. But there are more things to go do with these guys, and we have, starting out with our pilots. This one, the new retail pack is actually going to get a little boost in that area. So the sad part is our named pilot is Loskeen, which is the exact same one that was in the prize pack, and he has the exact same ability too. So 3-point independent captain with a single talent. As an action, he may target one friendly ship that is not within range 1 to 3 of your ship, and whose captain has a lower skill than Loskeen. Target ship may immediately perform an additional 1 or 2 maneuver, straight, bank, or turn. The additional maneuver must be on the target ship's maneuver dial.
If it wasn't for that last sentence, this would be really good.
This last sentence is why a lot of people thought that you could not do things that were not on your maneuver dial with the admiral or the fleet captain, because it had the same wording, but it had a different restriction, just like Picard and Ducat debate way back in the day, or two other things that were similar effect, but one had a qualifier and one didn't. This guy, well, he doesn't really care about with the Tholians, because they have all the straight bank return maneuvers as 1 or 2 maneuvers, which is kind of cool. But in reality, it's still really slow, and because of his low skill value, it's not really helping to get you into position to kill other things. Other things that can move. Other things are still going to move after you. This guy is not going to move after anybody, because usually you would use these kind of abilities to make sure you're on target to hit somebody else that had moved between now and then.
That's correct. Though this is a guy who significantly benefits from captain skill boosting, obviously.
Let's see. Other things that you could maybe do with him nowadays. There are ways to do captain actions later in the turn. We could use Martok. He might help.
Squad leader.
Squad leader from the fighters. That could help, since fighters start at like 6 or 7. And his ability would be able to work on fighters.
That's true.
As long as they were, really, really far away. So not the same fighters that's using squad leader on him.
Aaron Hansen might work. Being able to look at another ship's maneuver dial, know where they're going to end up,
and that would
could help you ping better.
And that would keep. That would also keep your independent faction, if you're going for just all independents.
Kind of neat with faked messages, I guess.
He could take faked messages, but I don't know that it has any real synergy with his ability.
Well, he gets to pick where the opponent goes, and then he gets to reposition one of your guys.
Yeah, but if you know where the opponent's going to be anyway, you could just target them in the right spot in the first place.
But he's low skill, so you're not always going to know that.
But if you use fake messages, you will know that. Because fake messages goes before you finish putting your dials down.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So yeah, there's a couple of little things that can boost us up a little bit, but For the most part, I think it sounds more useful than it actually is in practice.
The range restriction is the killer. Well, that and the has to be on your maneuver now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that means you have to split up your forces, and splitting up your force in this game doesn't generally work very well unless you're like facing down cloaked mines, which will probably be a thing soon.
It's just a bad idea. It's just a bad idea altogether.
Yeah. Other than that, though, we have our generic Tholian pilot, which is another generic captain with a skill higher than 1.
And
Huzzah!
ability, even though this ability is pants.
Mm-hmm. So Tholian pilot, he's a 2 skill for 1 point, independent captain action. If you perform a green maneuver this round, repair a shield token. You may only use this action if this card is equipped to a Tholian ship. It's kind of unfortunate that the only other generic captain that we have now, besides the one that we were just looking at earlier.
Hirogen.
Yes, Hirogen. I wanted to call them Gorn. I'm like, no, that's not right. This guy working only on Tholian ships, and the fact that Tholian ships are terrible doesn't help. Even worse in that if you actually have him on a Tholian ship, you don't want to spend your action to be repairing shields. You want to spend your action probably to either use your torpedoes of some sort or lay down energy webs.
Yeah, this is not a very good. This is not good, guys.
Unless you have the Tholian pilot on Tholia 1 where you're getting the energy web for free. But outside that...
I mean, Tholia 1's almost the only place you can put him because the generic Tholian ship only has 3 hit points to begin with, and that's pretty much one shot from anything.
Yeah.
This is why we were all looking forward to a new, unique Tholian ship.
Yep.
Poor Tholians. But, yeah. So we've got all of these guys, and now we have the key card that really makes Tholians different. We have our Energy Web. This is a 5-point independent weapon. As an action, if you performed a 1 straight maneuver this round, you may place 1 Energy Web token in the play area behind your ship. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Tholian ship. Alright. Now, with recent rulings, this upgrade may only be purchased for a Tholian ship. Now, no other ship may lay Tholian webs, no matter how, even if they tried to steal it or use it or whatnot. It falls off the ship because no other ship can now take it. Let's see.
Action, you can't do it more than once per round, meaning things like Borg Queen or Martok don't help as much as they might otherwise.
Yep, you will never be able to find it. Even if you can stack your actions and additional movements for your energy web, you would still not be able to lay more than 1 around. However, one of the neat things about this, if you have the actual reference card, we'll deal with this. The energy tokens are actually a 2 maneuver template long, a 2 straight maneuver template long. So every time you move 1 forward, you can place a new template that hits the one before it. And the other thing that happens is you get a little shining light web trail behind you, kind of like fun Tron cycles. We love Tron cycles and how they destroy everything in their path. An older ruling on this one means that little light trail that you have on the back of your ship, which is about the size of another ship base, if a ship touches that part of the token, then it takes damage as if it hit by an energy web. So the things you can do with that are, after you lay an energy web for the turn, if you get an additional movement from something like the independent fleet captain or from Loskeen, then you have a better idea of where your opponents are. You can try to move over them, or if using a talent like Insha, you can try to use the 1 or 2 come about and find a way to just kind of drop that token on top of them, so you get basically a free energy web attack.
But the thing is, if you don't lay it correctly, your problem is it's not going to connect to your other tokens, and that attack is not going to be very good.
Oh, it doesn't have to connect to the other tokens. It just depends on how many tokens are in the play area, period.
Seriously? I thought they had to connect.
Nope.
Oh, that's better than I thought, actually.
Mm-hmm. It's...
Yeah, you can even break it up, do like a 3 bank, and then come back and start laying mines again. And, Or not mines, webs.
Mine lines. Lines of mines.
Yeah, something like that.
They're lines that are like mines.
You know, if we want to increase Loskeen's captain skill and grant movement, there is an indie captain that does that.
Indeed. And he can do a lot of movements, too. So the energy web tokens themselves, since we aren't actually looking at the reference card here, they lay behind your ship. They deal damage like a mine, kind of like a minefield. So they count as obstacles. They deal an amount of damage, however, equal to half the number of web tokens on the board, with a maximum of 10. So in the first round, you could be getting up to 3 or 4 attack dice out of this if you're running like 4 Tholian ships all laying web at the same time. Once you hit 20, you don't have to lay anymore. At that point, you're just trying to find some way to make them run into it. If you have
tokens on the board, there's a lot of web for them to run into.
Oh yeah, if they haven't caught your ships long before then,
which they probably have.
The other thing is these tokens count as obstacles, so if you can manage to get a nice line of them going and you can hide on the other side of that, you could make them shoot through 1, 2, maybe even 3 lines at a time to try to shoot at you, and that would be 1 extra defense die for every line. So you could get really good defense out of this with good positioning, but the lack of battle stations on the ships means you can't take really good advantage of it.
Remind me, since I've only ever played 1 OP with obstacles, I think. If you hit an obstacle, do you lose your action? Yes, right?
Normal obstacles, yes. These ones, no. They're treated more like minefields.
Oh. Well, shoot.
Let's see. Oh, and the last thing. These webs do not affect Tholian ships at all. So they can shoot through them without penalty. They can move through them without penalty. Actually, they might actually deny you actions. I'd have to look at the reference card again. But
yeah, minefield that denies you actions actually seems pretty good to me now that I'm thinking about it. Except you have to run it on a Tholian ship, which is awful. Ah!
Yep. You can see why I wanted these things to be cool and successful. But
yeah, the major problem with this is it takes your action. What does that mean? It means you can't drop more than 1 token per turn, even if you get bonus movements. It means
you can't stay alive by taking evades every turn to try and keep alive while you're trying to do something else.
Yeah, it has all the problems of torpedoes or anything that requires a re-enabling, basically, and it also means your movement is going to be super predictable.
On the bright side, it doesn't take an attack. On the downside, you probably don't have a good attack in any way.
Yeah, the reference card says that they're treated as obstacles, but they don't do normal obstacle damage.
Ooh, so they would take out your they would take an action if someone landed on them.
That's all right. Well, maybe hopefully in the future we'll find a way to make these guys more playable.
Yeah. Right now the only problem is you have to do a 1 forward maneuver, and if you're doing 1 forward maneuvers all the time, it's pretty predictable where you're going to be.
Yeah. Hey, question: what's the attack hull shield flagship?
Attack, hull, and shield is the independent Romulan. It grants the battle stations. No, I lied. You said not evade. Not agility?
Yeah, not agility. Attack, hull, shield.
That is the Federation one.
So that's the one that grants evade.
Ah. And it's not... See, the thing is, what I was hoping is it would be the one that granted movement, but it's not.
It's the second action.
No, that's the attack, agility, and hull.
Yeah.
No, that's a different one.
It gives you evade. Yeah, that sucks. Because I'm thinking, if you could have a 3-2-3-3, either with battle stations or with the ability to grant those extra 1 forwards that you need, that would be pretty good. But
There are ways you can try to work these things out. The sad truth of it is everything dies way too quickly.
Yeah, it does.
You will die long before you can get a web at least even halfway across the board.
Yeah.
Which is really what you need, because you need at least like half of the map covered in order to be like to start really hindering your opponent's movements.
Yeah.
If only they could take a transwarp conduit to the other side of the board.
I mean, I guess maybe an RIF3 with a limited... No, because you just are in ARC all the time. Never mind.
Yep. All right. So we've gone over their key card and energy web. They do get a few more cards beyond that. We've got basic plasma torpedoes, range 1 to 2, 3-point independent weapon. 4 attack dice. You may reroll all of your blank results 1 time. Basic plasma torpedoes, not very good. They will also, however, come with tri-cobalt explosives.
Tri-cobalt warhead.
Tri-cobalt warhead. There is no word yet on what exactly these do. However, the article states that they will be doing 6 dice of damage. So the most likely solution is that it's going to be a 6-attack weapon, either range 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. I'm going to guess 2 to 3. And it's probably going to be 6-point independent weapon. Because that would match all the other torpedoes that have a base damage of more than 5, or have an ability that gets them over 5.
There are 2 options. Number 1, it's basically either a photon or quantum retread. Number 2, it's a 6-die discard that does something cool.
Oh, I hope it's not a discard. Or if it is
just something that's different than photons, honestly.
Yeah, knowing our luck, though, is going to be requires a target lock, doesn't give you any modification on the dice, and discards after you use it.
Look, the Tri-Cobalt warhead was fired into a dead star by the Tholians to open the interdimensional and chronological rift that they use in the Tholian web and through Mirror Darkly.
Huh.
So I'd like to do something cool.
Done. Let's make it 10 points. Remove a ship from the game if you deal any damage.
But then Mirror Archer finds it later.
That's fine.
And Mirror Hoshi uses it to take over the world. Sorry, spoilers.
Sounds like fun, actually.
It's been 10 years. I somehow I think the moratorium on spoilers goes out the window after 10 years.
You're saying
Hey, Lord of the Rings, people didn't know there were actually books or something like that. Who needs that stuff?
So Dave, you're saying it's been a long road.
Oh no.
I'm saying if I start talking about Battlestar Galactica Final 5, that people either can tune off or start going la 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 la. I'm not actually doing that. That's a different show. That was last week. Hey, Tholian Assembly. What does that do?
All right. The last cards we have in this pack are talents because, well, we have no other slots that can be used. No crew, no tech, no nothing. So we get Tholian Assembly, a 3-point independent talent. Action, discard this card to target every Tholian ship within range 3 of your ship. Each target ship may immediately perform an additional maneuver with a speed of 1. This upgrade may only be purchased for Loskin or any other Tholian captain on a Tholian ship.
So here's a major problem. It's range 3, not 1 to 3.
No, it's within range 3, so it works.
Not an X-Wing.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It works in X-Wing too.
No.
This is not at range 3. It's within range 3.
Look, all I'm saying is I will not be surprised if the rules form goes the other way on that.
And says you can only do it if you're at exactly range 3.
Hey, it's not like you want to take this talent anyway.
Yeah, true. Hey, I was not bad-mouthing Lord of the Rings. I was bad-mouthing the people that didn't read. Go read a book.
Read a book, read a book, read a mother-in book.
Take a look. It's in a book. Reading a rainbow. Oh, wait, never mind. So, yeah. It is a neat talent, if only it wasn't, limited specifically to Tholians and only affected other Tholians. Or even if they all got to move one and also use an energy web. But no, this doesn't do that.
Good. But I have another complaint about this talent, which we'll get to when we talk about the other one.
Oh, I do have one thing, though. We immediately perform an initial maneuver with a speed of 1. It has no limitations on this, so your maneuvers could include the 1 come about.
1 spin.
I don't think Tholian ships actually have that on them.
1 rotate.
1 reverse.
No, rotate. Like
From the giant DS9 dial. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. All right. Last card, Tholian Punctuality, 4-point independent talent. When you initiate an attack, you may discard this card to gain 1 attack die for that attack. May only be purchased for a Loskin or any other Tholian captain. Really? Okay. 4 points.
So here's the other hilarious thing about this. Barring you using independent fleet captain, you cannot use both of these talents on the same fleet.
That is correct. Yes.
There is no way outside of flagships. I forgot flagships. Flagships or independent fleet captain.
Keep going. I'll be back in just a second.
Okay. Or I guess reinforcement sideboard to use 2 talents that require Loskin or any other Tholian captain in the same fleet because only Loskin has an elite talent slot, and none of the ships have crew slots.
So that either means that they've got another Tholian ship planned down the road, or they want another Tholian ship planned down the road, or they just want options and they're being jerks about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, they did the same thing back with Dominion before they had any talent slots. But well, the first thing with Ducat came with 2 talents, so you could choose between them.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Tholian ship, it looks darn cool. Hopefully that doesn't change. I don't see how it could change.
Oh, no, they'll just reuse the mold.
But, let's see. Other than that, using a Tholian as a ship, I think the most interesting thing here would be to take the cheap ship, load it up with a captain with a lot of talents, and then go right into the middle of everybody with 3 copies of I Stab at Thee.
And didn't we get... Wasn't there some kind of cool weapon on, like, the Valjean?
There's a cool weapon called Ramming Attack.
Yes.
It was like a 3-point weapon. It lets you ram into an enemy ship and can only be taken on It can only be taken on a ship with a hull of 3 or less.
There we go.
Yeah, we call this on Board Game Geek the explosive lawn darts build.
Yeah.
Explosions.
So yeah, 17-point Tholian starships with ramming attacks.
You could put Magnus Hansen could go on here, right, for a cheap 1-point talent slot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I used to do this back in the day with the Dominion bugs with Suicide Attack, but they needed like Kirk to be effective because he could take 3 copies of the things.
Mm.
But now. Now it's just raining lawn darts.
And I'm not saying make that the focus of your build. Well, sorry. I'm not saying make that the totality of your build. But in a 120, if you had 1-2 copies of that, it's playable.
No, it's not.
Hey, that's one of the few ways to instantly reduce multiple opposing fighter tokens by up to 3. If you can get 2 fighter tokens in line with this and have 3 copies of I Stab at Thee, all of a sudden they are actually pretty much instantly dead. I would run one of those.
Still rather have Cloaked Minds, I think.
I'll run one of those with Jean-Luc Picard that disables my shields and lets me do another maneuver. Come on, shoot me. I dare ya. Something like that. But yeah, if you're getting the Tholian Starship, that's about the only thing you're going to end up running with it. Unless you might be going Aeropure. If you're only going up against Original Series or Enterprise Series ships, not counting the Borg, then these could actually be pretty darn fun. Because they won't instantly die in one hit to most things like the original Enterprise or the other thing.
You gotta watch out for some of the Vulcans, but yeah.
Actually, in Aeropure, one thing you have to watch out is Super Galgathon. You put Valdez on the Galgathon, give it advanced cloaking and plasma torpedoes, and suddenly that's kind of worrisome.
Yeah, because then you're getting the 5 attack dice, you're getting a reroll, you're not needing to use target locks.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. On the bright side, if you can force him into a web, he's pretty much dead. Get him up to 6 or 7 attack dice on your webs with his 3 hull, no defense ship.
Yeah. Which he is actually predictable that because he's forced to do greens to clear his power.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's not because he doesn't really need the actions.
He needs to enable his torpedoes.
Yeah. Right. So he is. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I believe that is everything for our Tholians today, then. Moving on, we are doing our first well, I guess it's not really our first viewer-inspired segment because, well, pretty much everything has been viewer-inspired because if it's not, we don't have any viewers.